The wind howled like a banshee, its eerie cries echoing through the dense, dark forest. The trees, ancient and gnarled, seemed to dance wildly, their branches thrashing against the relentless force of the storm. Rain lashed against the windows with a ferocity that seemed almost personal, each droplet a tiny hammer striking the fragile glass. The old windows, weathered by countless storms, groaned under the assault, their wooden frames creaking ominously. Fear choked the village of Hollow Creek, a fear that was palpable, almost tangible. The streets, usually bustling with life, were now deserted, shrouded in a thick, oppressive fog that seemed to swallow all light and hope. A storm raged, but it was not the tempest that terrified them. The villagers had faced many storms before, but this one was different. It carried with it an ancient, malevolent force that sent shivers down their spines. It was the witch's curse, a dark and sinister spell cast long ago by a woman wronged and scorned. Her name was whispered in fear and reverence, a name that had become synonymous with dread. Every villager knew the legend, a tale passed down through generations. They spoke of old Elara, a woman of great power and even greater wrath. Her story was one of betrayal and vengeance, a cautionary tale that had become all too real. Old Elara, they called her. She was once a healer, a woman of wisdom and kindness. But betrayal had twisted her heart, turning her into a figure of fear and hatred. Her dark cloak and piercing eyes were the stuff of nightmares. Wronged and scorned, she cast a spell on Hollow Creek, vowing vengeance on those who had wronged her. Her magic was dark and powerful, a force that could not be easily undone. The villagers had tried to forget, but the curse was a wound that never healed. Now, on the anniversary of her death, the curse returned to torment them. It was a night of dread, a night when the past came back to haunt the present. The villagers huddled together, their whispers filled with fear and desperation. Lightning flashed, illuminating the grimy windows of the village inn. The brief bursts of light revealed faces etched with worry and fear, eyes wide with the terror of what was to come. Inside, huddled figures whispered tales of Elara's wrath. They spoke of the night she was betrayed, of the curse she had cast, and of the terrible price they had paid ever since. Each story was a thread in a tapestry of fear and sorrow. Each gust of wind, each clap of thunder seemed to whisper her name, Elara. The sound was a haunting refrain, a reminder of the power she still held over them. The storm was her voice, her anger made manifest. No one dared to venture out. The streets were empty, the doors locked and barred. The village was a ghost town, a place where fear reigned supreme. The storm was a prison, and they were its captives. Not while the witch's fury rode the storm. The night was long, and the storm showed no signs of abating. The villagers could only wait and hope, praying that the dawn would bring an end to their torment. But deep down, they knew that as long as Elara's curse hung over them, there would be no peace. Before she was feared, Elara was pitied. She was once a beacon of hope, a gentle soul who roamed the woods, gathering nature's bounty to heal the sick and comfort the weary. A healer, they called her. She knew the secrets of the forest, the whispers of the leaves, and the songs of the streams. A woman of the woods with herbs and potions for every ailment. Her hands, though weathered, worked miracles, turning simple plants into powerful remedies. She lived in a crooked hut beyond the creek, a black cat, her only companion. The hut, though humble, was a sanctuary of healing and wisdom. The villagers sought her help, but they also whispered. They came to her in times of need, yet their gratitude was often overshadowed by suspicion. They called her strange, different. Her knowledge, which should have been revered, was instead met with distrust. They feared what they did not understand. Her gifts, her connection to the natural world, made them uneasy. Then a sickness swept through Hollow Creek. Children perished, parents grieved. The air was thick with sorrow and desperation. In their desperation, they turned on Elara. The healer became the scapegoat, the one to blame for their suffering. Accused of witchcraft, blamed for the plague, she was driven from the village. Her years of service and kindness were forgotten in an instant. Her pleas of innocence fell on deaf ears. The villagers, blinded by fear and grief, could not see the truth. Their fear had turned to hate, leaving no room for reason. Elara, once their healer, was now their enemy, cast out into the wilderness she once called home. Banished and broken, Elara sought solace in her isolation, but hatred festered in her heart, twisting into a desire for revenge. She would make them pay for their ignorance, for their cruelty. As the storm raged outside, mirroring the tempest in her soul, Elara began her dark ritual. Under the eerie glow of a blood moon, she called upon ancient forces. Her voice, hoarse but steady, chanted words of power. The air crackled with dark energy. A blood sacrifice offered with a heavy heart sealed the pact. The witch's curse was unleashed. The storm subsided, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. The villagers emerged, hoping the worst was over. They were wrong. The witch's curse had only just begun. Crops withered and died. Livestock fell ill. Unexplained accidents befell the villagers. Whispers of shadowy figures and disembodied voices haunted the night. Fear, thick and suffocating, permeated every corner of Hollow Creek. The villagers were trapped in a nightmare of their own making. Section 5. A glimmer of hope. Seeking the light in darkness. Desperate, the villagers sought a way to break the curse. They traveled to neighboring towns, consulted with wise women and wandering mystics. One name echoed through their search: Celeste, the White Witch. Celeste lived in a hidden grove surrounded by protective enchantments. She listened to their tale, her brow furrowed with concern. Breaking a witch's curse, especially one fueled by such potent vengeance, would be perilous. But Celeste offered them a glimmer of hope. A dangerous ritual performed on the next stormy night might appease Elara's vengeful spirit. Section 6. The Final Stand. Facing the wrath of Elara. As the next storm rolled in, mirroring the night of Elara's curse, the villagers gathered. They had prepared the offerings, chanted the incantations as Celeste instructed. Now they faced the spectral form of Elara, drawn forth by their ritual. Her eyes burned with cold fire. Her voice, a chilling whisper, echoed through the storm. She demanded justice, retribution for their betrayal. The villagers trembled, their courage faltering in the face of her wrath. Section 7. The curse lifted, a village scarred. Celeste stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. She acknowledged the villagers' wrongdoing, their fear-driven actions, but she also spoke of Elara's pain, her unhealed wounds. She pleaded for mercy, not for the villagers, but for Elara herself. The witch's spirit wavered, the fire in her eyes flickering with doubt. Could she forgive? Could she find peace? With a final mournful sigh, Elara's form dissipated into the storm. The curse was lifted. But the memory of Elara, the witch they created through fear and ignorance, would forever haunt Hollow Creek. That's Section 8. A haunting reminder. Can we escape our past? The storm subsided. Dawn painted the sky in hues of forgiveness. The villagers returned to their homes, forever changed by their encounter with the supernatural. The curse was broken, but its mark remained. The tale of Elara, the wronged healer, became a cautionary legend, a reminder that fear and ignorance can breed monsters, both real and imagined. Section 9. Beyond the grave echoes of Elara's fury, whispers of Elara's presence lingered. Some claimed to see her spectral form on stormy nights, a fleeting glimpse of her black cat disappearing into the woods. Others swore they heard her mournful cries on the wind, a constant reminder of their past transgressions. Whether these were remnants of the curse or figments of their guilt-ridden imaginations, no one could be sure. But one thing was certain. The events at Hollow Creek had blurred the line between the natural and the supernatural, leaving a chilling question hanging in the air. Section 10. The power of belief, fact, fiction, or fear. Do curses truly exist, or are they born from our deepest fears given life by our beliefs? The villagers of Hollow Creek believed, and that belief shaped their reality. They feared Elara, the outcast, the unknown, and in their fear they created a monster. They pushed her towards darkness, fueling the very magic they dreaded. Section 11. Your story, dare to share the shadows within. What about you? Do you believe in curses? Have you ever encountered something you couldn't explain? Something that chilled you to the bone and made you question the nature of reality itself? Every town has its secrets, every family has its stories, and sometimes the line between truth and legend blurs in the telling. Section 12. The Witch's Curse, a chilling reflection. In the heart of the dark forest, under the eerie glow of the moon, lies a tale that has haunted generations. The Witch's Curse is more than just a spooky story. It's a narrative that delves deep into the human psyche, exploring the darkest corners of our fears and superstitions. It's a reflection of our own capacity for fear, for prejudice, and for violence. The cracked mirror symbolizes the fractured nature of our understanding, and the shadowy figure represents the unknown that we so often dread. It's a reminder that our actions have consequences, both intended and unforeseen. The broken lantern on the deserted street is a testament to the darkness that can envelop us when we act out of fear. And it begs the question, are we so different from the villagers of Hollow Creek? With their torches and pitchforks, they sought to drive out what they didn't understand, much like we sometimes do in our own lives. Do we too create monsters out of fear of the unknown? The ominous shadow in the alley and the terrified person hiding in the dark room are metaphors for the monsters we create in our minds. The next time you hear a strange noise in the night or feel a chill run down your spine, ask yourself, is it just the wind or is it something more? Perhaps it's a manifestation of our deepest fears, a chilling reflection of our own inner demons. The wind howling outside and the fearful gaze out the window serve as reminders that sometimes the scariest things are not what we see, but what we imagine.